so today we're gonna go over a couple movement standards for the push-up. Whether or not you went through elements with CrossFit Center City or you find yourself to be proficient in push-ups, we're gonna go over a couple movement pieces today that we think you guys could start to work on a little bit more. One of the most important issues with the push-up, we would say, is midline tension. So we see an athlete here who's in an almost optimal plank position. He's got external rotation in the shoulders, almost so much that you can see his elbow pits turning away from his body. He's got a nice taut midline. His hips, his shoulders, and his ankles are all in one straight line. Now, another thing that an athlete would want to think about, and you can go ahead and start to pull these blocks out for a really cool drill, is having the best appropriation of weight in the body. So one thing that we like to do here is ask the athlete to stack the shoulders directly over their knuckles. So in this position, we're still in the tight plank, and we're actually just gonna put some yoga blocks behind the athlete's forearm. And then Tim, go ahead and give me a set of 3 push-ups here, trying to drive the weight forward, which may be kind of an awkward concept for some of you. We're making sure that we're not touching those yoga blocks at all, and instead we're driving the weight through the chest down to the floor and then back up. That's good. Let's see an example of some wrong push-ups, push-ups that we wouldn't want to see ideally in the middle of a conditioning piece. Here we've got loss of lumbar tension. There's a lot of sagging there in the midline, and so we're actually putting the body into a pretty funky place. Go ahead and try to complete a push-up, and from here he's gonna bring his upper chest up before his lower back, and that's not at all what we're looking for. You'll see this pretty commonly in knee push-ups as well, which is why we don't generally prescribe knee push-ups as a scale. It's actually not gonna get you better at anything but knee push-ups. So instead of scaling the range of motion, we're just gonna give you a little bit of assistance. So here we have a pretty traditional setup for assistance in the push-up. Tim has tied a band to the top of the pull-up rig, and a second band he's looped his arms through, pretty similar to a backpack. So Tim, go ahead and show us what a perfect push-up in this this assistance would be. He's got his hands stacked directly underneath of the pull-up rig, so that's a measurable variable here. Now show us what we see athletes in class doing pretty often. Yeah. Basically, they're very much altering the resistance on the bands so that that tension is a very immeasurable variable. So we'll never know when it's time for you to change the band combination at all. If you're having trouble understanding where to put your hands every time, it's pretty simple. Just draw a simple X right where each hand should go underneath the pull-up rig, and then no matter how tired you are, you'll find that spot every time. Okay, so for somebody that is ready to progress from the push-up backpack to something with a little less assistance, we're gonna suggest this piece. You'll actually take a smaller resistance band, you'll double it around twice, and then you're gonna put both arms through the band, keeping it just above the elbows. You definitely don't wanna bring it up on the shoulders. So here's a bad example of band placement, good. Back down to just above the shoulders, and then we're gonna show you how this works. Tim's gonna come back into that perfect plank setup. Remember, he's got his shoulders stacked over his knuckles, and then he's gonna come down. The resistance from the band is gonna help him spring back to the top. Good, show us another springy one. Awesome job.
So next, Morgan's going to show us how to do a hand release push-up. She's going to get into her plank position. As she goes down, she's going to lift her hands slightly, bring them off the floor before pressing back up into the next push-up. Now the reason we really do this is to kind of standardize the movement for CrossFit Metcons and for the CrossFit Open/Games. But typically you won't see these in most strength programs. If this push-up is too difficult, a way to scale it would be, again, the backpack. So don't be afraid to. Hand release push-ups sometimes aids in a little bit more retraction of the shoulders, making it a little bit more difficult. In this example of the hand release push-up, Morgan's going to show a bad rep. One that's more of a kip, where she lifts her chest, sags the midline. This can aid in a lot of low back issues. As you can tell, her toes are coming off the ground. We don't typically like to kip push-ups in this gym. If you do it, we're gonna smack you.
So now you should be ready for the handstand push-up, which starts with a simple kick-up, which our athlete will demonstrate. Oh God, never mind.